Hi guys, welcome along. It's Wednesday the 3rd of July and thanks for watching our July edition of our Market Watch. Okay, this month we've got a few markets very much of interest to us. Just to recap, first of all, just to set the scene of where we're at. Those of you who have seen the June Market Watch video, you would know that metals are typically seasonal as we head into July, but what they typically make is the actual lows in June. I'll just run down through a few. Here you will see we've got copper in here typically making a low, gold as well typically making a low early June for a rally up, as is palladium, platinum and silver. So the general pattern tends to be we're weakness at the beginning of June, bottom mid to early June, and have a rally. So we're wanting to continue with them. We've certainly seen the metal sector rallying, and we want to stay with that on the long side as we head through July towards the end, and then we'll see where we're sitting with regards to price action as we start to turn bearish as we head into August. So stay with that, and those of you who would have watched the June Market Watch would hopefully in some of those and already made some money, but yes, stick with those. Looking ahead now into what new markets to be looking into, let's have a just pop over to our heat map till we get a sense of what we're actually doing, just a high level, and straight away you will see here there's a big section of green here, and it's all with regards our currencies. So there's a lot of currencies tend to perform very well through the month of July, and the reason for that is because of this. We have the dollar index, and it actually underperforms through the month of July, one of the worst months of the year historically for the US dollar, second only to April historically, and it will sit nicely with the Fed's policy and heading into the next FOMC meeting towards the end of July that we actually see a bearish move through this month. On the positive side of that, with the dollar being bearish, you'll see here obviously at the currencies on the other side, typically the Mexican peso and the Kiwi are two of the strongest performers historically in the percentage gain, along with the Aussie. After that, then the British pound, euro and Canadian dollar, and there's the other the largest percentage gainers from that euro or from that dollar weakness. The only two that typically don't do an awful lot, generally not much, fairly neutral through the month of July, is the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc. You'll see the figures there. Not to say that it can't rally, but historically the figures don't suggest that there's a big rally on in those markets. So let's have a little look at the actual patterns of the actual charts themselves, just to indicate what we're looking at here. And obviously the driving force is the dollar index, and you'll see right away, we're looking at the seasonal chart, both the long-term historical pattern and the weighted average that we're looking for correlations in. We see a very strong correlation in here in the dollar index through the month of July, so that suggests to us that the pattern that we've seen in the dollar index has been consistent throughout the period of time that we're measuring here. So we're looking for a continuation to the downside. The charts are very much, the dollar index chart is very much have a bearish slant, and we're looking for the continuation of that to the end of July. It'd be nice to run into the Fed meeting and actually then see a potential rally after that, so very much pointing to further downside. And you'll see as you go through the charts, very much on the opposite side of that, there's the Aussie, the strong July period, and again the yellow and the long-term historical average in the blue, they are together, confirming that this is a significant pattern that's been there over a long period of time. Pound as well, even though it has obviously been underperforming, but we can see from the seasonal pattern that from May, June and into this July period typically underperforms, and certainly we have seen pound very much underperform. So it's in a position we could see a bit of a fight back, but maybe given the negative slant that we've seen on pound, maybe the upside trajectory maybe could be a little bit limited, but certainly there's potential there for a little rally to the upside on the British pound as well. Same with Canadian dollar and euro, as I was saying. And here is the yen chart. It just illustrates not typically much movement historically, even looking at the two patterns, bit of a divergence between the two, but neither are suggesting much momentum. A little bit as we go on the weighted average towards the end of July, but generally not much momentum through there. And Kiwi, we're looking at bullishness, same as Aussie and a lot of the other currencies through July, and a Swiss franc quite flat. So looking ahead this month, very much a theme as we're looking for continuation of dollar weakness. There's no more other markets I could look at. Some of the commodities we could have looked at as well as tying into the dollar index, but just to keep this focused on the dollar index and focused on the currencies only. If you want to take some time, by all means, come on and jump into the charts yourselves, go through any of the markets, especially some of the energies, and a few of the other markets are heavily correlated with the dollar and negatively correlated with the dollar index, and there's certainly other options in there for which to take advantage of that. If you'd like to hear more information on the seasonal patterns and watch me as I go through maybe trades we could potentially be looking at, by all means join me for my weekly webinar every Monday, where I'll be going through the charts in a lot more detail, the patterns in a lot more detail, and the trades that we could potentially be looking for. So by all means jump onto that. Other than that, guys, I will be back again for August and setting up for what moves to be looking at, and very much a different slant in the markets as we head into August. A lot of markets turn negative, as you'll see a sea of red across the heat map. But stick with dollar weakness for now, and look for continuations in the equities and also the metals. And I will see you in another few weeks. Thanks.